Welcome, seekers of wisdom. In this deep dive, we'll be exploring the timeless teachings of some of history's greatest philosophers: Socrates, Aristotle, Epicurus, Diogenes, Zeno, and even the pragmatic strategist Machiavelli. Each of these great minds has left us profound lessons, lessons that not only shape the way we see the world, but also offer practical wisdom for the challenges we face in our modern lives. This journey into Stoic and philosophical wisdom will teach you how to live with virtue, clarity, and strength. In our chaotic world, it's easy to become overwhelmed, distracted, or misled by the forces around us. What if you could find peace in the storm? What if you could tap into a legacy of resilience, wisdom, and balance? These philosophers didn't just think about life, they lived it. Their thoughts resonate because they speak to something universal within all of us: the quest for meaning, self-mastery, and understanding. Lesson 1. Socratic Wisdom. Know thyself. Socrates, one of the founding figures of Western philosophy, is most famous for his aphorism, "Know thyself." This statement, which seems deceptively simple, was the cornerstone of his entire philosophical method. Socrates believed that before we could answer the profound questions of life, we first needed to understand who we were. It's a lesson we still need today, in a world filled with distractions, pressures, and superficiality. But how do we truly know ourselves? Socrates utilized what's known as the Socratic method, a form of cooperative, argumentative dialogue where he would ask a series of questions designed to draw out individual truths. His approach wasn't to provide answers, but to guide others into recognizing the limits of their own knowledge. This process of questioning isn't just about knowledge, it's about self-awareness. How often do you pause and question your beliefs, your actions, or your assumptions? For Socrates, this was essential for living a virtuous life. What Socrates is asking us is to confront our ignorance, to acknowledge that we are not infallible. Modern culture, with its emphasis on instant answers, perfection, and easy solutions, often prevents us from facing this uncomfortable truth. But in embracing this, we open the door to growth. Socrates would challenge us today. What do you truly know? What assumptions have you been operating on without questioning them? Think about your own life. How often do you stop and ask yourself, why do I think this way? Or even, is there another way to see this situation? Socrates was famously sentenced to death by the Athenian court for corrupting the youth and impiety. But even in the face of death, he remained true to his principles. He did not see his trial or execution as a personal tragedy. He viewed it as a test of his philosophy. To Socrates, death was not to be feared, for he believed that a person's true self, the soul, cannot be harmed by external events. In your life, how do you handle criticism or negative outcomes? Do you see them as reflections of your worth, or do you separate your inner self from external judgments? Socrates teaches us to internalize our strength, not to rely on outside opinions for validation. To truly know thyself, we must engage in self-reflection. Socrates wasn't concerned with our knowledge of the world alone, but our understanding of ourselves within it. In modern terms, think of how often we get distracted by technology, by the opinions of others, or by the rush of daily life. We rarely take the time to slow down and reflect. Start by asking yourself the big questions. Who are you, really? Are your thoughts and actions aligned with your values? Or are you simply going through the motions of life? The pursuit of wisdom isn't just intellectual, it's deeply personal. So how do we apply this to our modern lives? Begin with small daily practices: journaling, meditation, reflecting on the decisions you make. Socrates wasn't interested in quick answers. His method was about ongoing exploration and honest questioning. The pursuit of wisdom is a lifelong journey. We must learn to embrace the uncertainty of not knowing all the answers. In a world obsessed with certainty and control, Socrates' reminder is more powerful than ever. Embrace the unknown, question everything, and seek to understand yourself. Lesson 2. Aristotle, the Golden Mean. Moving on from Socrates, we come to Aristotle, perhaps the most influential of all philosophers. Aristotle believed that the good life was one of balance, what he termed the Golden Mean. In simple terms, Aristotle taught that virtue lies in moderation, not in excess or deficiency. Courage, for example, lies between the extremes of rashness and cowardice. Generosity lies between prodigality and stinginess. Imagine your own life. Are there areas where you tend to swing between extremes? Maybe you're overly self-critical or, on the flip side, too self-absorbed. Aristotle's Golden Mean teaches us that true virtue isn't about being perfect. It's about balance. Aristotle also applied this balance to emotions. We all experience feelings like anger, joy, and fear. He didn't say we should suppress our emotions, but rather that we should respond to them in a way that aligns with our rational judgment. Moderation, not elimination, is the key. In practical terms, the Golden Mean means we should avoid indulgence in anything, whether that's food, wealth, or even work. Too much of anything can harm us, but so too can too little. Aristotle would ask, are you living a life of balance? Are you letting your desires and fears dictate your actions, or are you consciously choosing a middle path? For instance, consider how we engage with our work. Are you obsessed with achievement to the point of burnout, or are you procrastinating because of fear or laziness? Aristotle urges us to avoid both extremes and strive for a healthy, balanced approach that allows us to grow without compromising our well-being. Let's look at another example: relationships. Aristotle believed that friendship was essential to living a good life, but he also emphasized the importance of choosing friends wisely. True friendship, he argued, isn't based on convenience or external benefits. It's about mutual respect and shared virtue. But too much dependence on friends can lead to unhealthy attachment, while too little can result in isolation. Finding the right balance in relationships is key. Too much dependence on others can lead to codependency, while too little can make us feel disconnected and lonely. So how do we live according to Aristotle's philosophy today? Start by examining your daily habits. Where are you leaning too far toward excess or deficiency? Look at how you're spending your time, your energy, and your resources. Are you living in balance? Remember, Aristotle didn't believe that we should be balanced all the time. Balance means adjusting according to the situation. In times of danger, for instance, courage might require a greater leap than usual, while in times of rest, moderation is more appropriate. Aristotle also teaches us that we should cultivate virtues not by trying to be perfect, but by making consistent choices that push us toward excellence. Every small action you take towards balance adds up. By making daily adjustments, we move closer to the flourishing life that Aristotle envisioned. Lesson 3. Epicurus, the simple pleasures of life. Next, we turn to Epicurus, the philosopher who advocated for pleasure as the highest good, but not in the way many people think. Epicurus wasn't about indulgence in excess. He was about pursuing simple pleasures, free from pain and unnecessary desire. Epicurus's idea of pleasure wasn't about seeking the highest highs, but about achieving contentment and peace through modest living. He argued that the pursuit of pleasure, especially physical pleasure, often leads to pain. True pleasure comes from the absence of pain, from tranquility and a life of balance. In the modern world, we're constantly bombarded with the idea that more is better, more money, more possessions, more success. But Epicurus challenges us to rethink this narrative. Instead of chasing after external achievements, he suggests we focus on cultivating internal peace and simple joys, like time with friends, meaningful conversations, and the joy of a quiet day. How often do you pause to appreciate the little things? Epicurus teaches us that real happiness doesn't lie in chasing fleeting pleasures, but in fostering lasting tranquility. Let's look at something we all struggle with: fear of death. Epicurus taught that much of human suffering comes from irrational fears, especially the fear of death. Death, he argued, is merely the end of consciousness. It's nothing to fear. Once we stop fearing death, we can live more freely. How often does the fear of failure, rejection, or death keep you from pursuing what you truly want? Epicurus would tell you to embrace life, not through the accumulation of wealth or status, but through the cultivation of peace within yourself. So, how can we apply this today? Start by simplifying your life. Reduce unnecessary distractions and focus on what truly brings you happiness. Spend more time with people who bring you peace. Invest in experiences, not things. And when life gets overwhelming, remember Epicurus's teaching. Real pleasure lies not in gaining more, but in enjoying what we already have. This is a glimpse of how the script will look for the first 3 lessons, designed for 15 minutes each. The tone remains thoughtful and engaging, with practical lessons applied to the modern context, making each philosopher's teachings relevant today. The following lessons will similarly follow this structure, ensuring that each one provides valuable insights into how we can apply their wisdom to build a life of balance, virtue, and fulfillment. Let me know if you would like further expansion or adjustments on any of the sections. Lesson 4. Diogenes, the power of simplicity. Now, we delve into the life and philosophy of Diogenes, one of the most unconventional of the ancient Greek philosophers. Diogenes is often remembered for his radical simplicity and his disregard for social conventions. He was a cynic philosopher, and his teachings were rooted in the idea that virtue and happiness are not found in material wealth or status, but in living in accordance with nature, free from artificial desires. Diogenes famously lived in a barrel, what we might call a large clay jar, on the streets of Athens. He saw the pursuit of material wealth and luxury as a form of self-imposed slavery. In his eyes, true freedom lay in stripping away unnecessary possessions and societal expectations. For Diogenes, simplicity wasn't just about minimalism. It was a rebellion against the excesses of society. He famously carried a lamp during the daytime, claiming to be looking for an honest man. Diogenes used his behavior to critique the pretentiousness, hypocrisy, and superficiality that he saw in the world around him. His actions were a constant reminder to the people of Athens that true virtue wasn't found in wealth, power, or status, but in being true to oneself. Modern society, with its obsession with possessions and appearances, often leaves us feeling empty. We're constantly told that more is better, that more money, more status, more experiences will lead to happiness. But Diogenes would ask us, what is the cost of that pursuit? How much of our energy, time, and mental peace is consumed by the desire for more? In practical terms, Diogenes teaches us to embrace simplicity. In your life, where can you reduce excess? Can you let go of things that no longer serve you, physically, mentally, or emotionally? This isn't about living in poverty or rejecting all luxuries, but about understanding the difference between what you truly need and what society convinces you to want. So, in our fast-paced world, Diogenes' teachings challenge us to reconsider our relationship with material things. Strive for internal wealth, not external. Don't seek validation from the things you own or the status you've achieved. True happiness lies in personal freedom, the kind that comes when you stop chasing after things that only weigh you down. What can you take from Diogenes' example? In your daily life, ask yourself, how can I simplify? What do I actually need to feel fulfilled and at peace? His teachings remind us that the trappings of wealth, fame, and success often keep us from the most important thing, living authentically. By practicing simplicity and rejecting the pursuit of empty pleasures, we can begin to live with greater clarity, peace, and true happiness. Diogenes didn't just challenge social norms. He showed us that a life free from the distractions of materialism is a life truly worth living. Embrace the lessons of Diogenes. Live for what matters most, not for what society tells you should matter. In doing so, you can find a deeper, more meaningful sense of freedom and fulfillment. Lesson 5. Zeno, the discipline of Stoicism. Now we turn to Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism. Stoicism, one of the most enduring philosophical systems, teaches us that we should focus on what is within our control and accept what is beyond our control. Zeno's Stoicism was built around the idea that we can achieve happiness by living in accordance with nature and exercising wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance in all aspects of life. Zeno argued that our emotions are often the result of irrational judgments, and by training our minds to recognize and control these judgments, we can cultivate tranquility. For Zeno and the Stoics, happiness wasn't about external circumstances, but about how we respond to those circumstances. You can't control the actions of others or the events that happen around you, but you can always control how you choose to react. This is a central tenet of Stoicism, the discipline of acceptance. By accepting what we cannot control and focusing our energy on what we can, our thoughts, decisions, and actions, we create an inner fortress of resilience. Zeno's Stoicism teaches that this discipline is a lifelong practice. It requires constant self-awareness and an ongoing commitment to acting with wisdom. Consider your own life. How often do you let external events shape your emotional state? Do you get upset by things outside your control, traffic, the weather, or the opinions of others? Zeno would remind us that to live a virtuous life, we must focus inward. We should challenge our emotional responses and return to a state of peace by recognizing that we alone have control over our actions and reactions. Zeno would also encourage us to live with purpose. Stoicism isn't a passive philosophy, it's a call to action. It urges us to live in harmony with nature and reason, always striving for excellence. Whether it's how we approach work, relationships, or personal growth, Stoicism teaches us to engage with life fully, but without attachment to the outcomes. By practicing Stoicism, we stop reacting impulsively. Instead, we take deliberate actions based on wisdom and rational thought. Whether we face success or failure, Zeno's philosophy tells us that our true joy lies in knowing we've done our best, regardless of the external result. So, how can you apply Stoicism in your life today? Start with simple practices. Notice when you feel angry or upset and ask yourself if it's something within your control. Cultivate a habit of acceptance, understanding that many external events are out of your hands. Focus instead on how you respond and practice discipline in choosing your emotional reactions. Through Stoicism, we come to understand that inner peace comes not from external success, but from the mastery of our own mind. Focus on what is truly important, living a virtuous life, acting with purpose, and finding contentment within yourself. Lesson 6. Machiavelli, the art of resilience. Machiavelli is often misunderstood. While his name has become synonymous with ruthless political maneuvering, his work, particularly The Prince, offers much deeper insights into power, resilience, and survival. Machiavelli understood that life is full of challenges, and his teachings reflect the reality that resilience is key to thriving in any environment. Machiavelli's core message is that power isn't given, it's taken. He didn't glorify deceit or manipulation, but recognized that life often requires difficult decisions. In moments of adversity, the ability to adapt and learn from the environment around you is crucial for survival. Machiavelli was a realist, not an idealist. He recognized that external forces like fortune and fate are out of our control. But he also believed that we can control how we react to those forces. Resilience, in his view, isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about facing it head-on and using it to your advantage. In modern terms, think of Machiavelli's teachings as a call to adaptability. Life throws challenges at you, whether in your career, relationships, or personal goals. But how you respond determines your ultimate success. For Machiavelli, resilience involves constantly learning from your mistakes. In The Prince, he discusses the importance of understanding both your strengths and weaknesses, and the need to act decisively when faced with uncertainty. The key is to remain adaptable in any situation, always ready to pivot or adjust your strategy. Consider your own life. How often do you act impulsively or emotionally in moments of adversity? Machiavelli would suggest that resilience requires strategy and clear thinking, not emotional reactions. In difficult times, pause, assess the situation, and act based on reason rather than emotion. Machiavelli also teaches us the importance of learning from both our successes and failures. The most successful leaders are those who analyze their past actions and apply those lessons to future endeavors. In the face of adversity, resilience is the ability to persist, adapt, and grow stronger through each challenge. Machiavelli reminds us that true strength lies in the ability to navigate challenges with wisdom and perseverance. In a world that often feels unpredictable, resilience allows us to maintain our focus and adaptability, ensuring our survival and success. Lesson 7. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic Emperor. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, offers one of the most profound lessons on resilience. His meditations are filled with reflections on how to maintain inner peace and purpose in the midst of chaos. As a ruler during tumultuous times, Marcus was faced with war, plague, and personal loss, yet he remained steadfast in his Stoic philosophy. His teachings emphasize the importance of controlling our thoughts and perceptions, recognizing that our reactions to external events are what shape our experience of the world. For Marcus, resilience wasn't about fighting against life's challenges. It was about embracing them. He believed that we should accept whatever happens in life, understanding that it is out of our control. Instead, we focus on how we respond, choosing to maintain our virtues in every circumstance. Marcus encourages us to stay present and avoid dwelling on the past or obsessing over the future. Life is happening now, and the key to resilience is to face the present moment with a calm mind and a clear sense of purpose. When you face adversity, Marcus would ask, "What is in your control? What is outside your control? Focus on what you can change and accept the rest." This mindset allows you to maintain peace regardless of external circumstances. Through Marcus's teachings, we learn that resilience is about cultivating an unshakable inner foundation, one that remains steady even in the stormiest of circumstances. Lesson 8. Epicurus, the pursuit of pleasure and the absence of pain. Epicurus, the founder of Epicureanism, is often misunderstood as advocating for indulgence in excess. However, his philosophy is much more nuanced. Epicurus taught that the ultimate goal of life is to achieve ataraxia, a state of peace and freedom from fear, and aponia, the absence of pain. This state of tranquility comes not from indulgence, but from eliminating unnecessary desires and living a life of simple pleasures. For Epicurus, the key to happiness lies in cultivating contentment through wise choices and emotional clarity. By seeking natural and necessary pleasures, such as friendship, self-reflection, and intellectual fulfillment, we can live with a deeper sense of joy. He emphasized that it's not about excess but balance. In modern terms, Epicurus teaches us to focus on what truly contributes to our well-being, while letting go of the distractions and excesses that society tells us we need. Think about the times when you've pursued something because you thought it would make you happy, only to realize it didn't bring lasting satisfaction. Epicurus would say that the key to contentment lies in recognizing that our desires often enslave us to unnecessary complications. To live like Epicurus, start by evaluating your desires. What do you truly need to live a good life? Often we desire things that lead us away from peace, status, possessions, or the constant need for external validation. By understanding which pleasures are natural and necessary, we can strip away the excess and return to a simpler, more fulfilling life. Epicurus also placed a strong emphasis on the importance of friendship in achieving happiness. It's through relationships and mutual understanding that we find joy, love, and comfort. Friendships are among the most valuable pleasures of life, offering emotional support and a sense of belonging. They are one of the few things that can provide real, lasting satisfaction. Epicurus didn't reject pleasure entirely, but rather sought to clarify its true meaning. True pleasure, according to Epicurus, is simple and intellectual. It's found in cultivating a peaceful mind, reducing unnecessary pain, and learning to appreciate the small joys in life. By practicing mindfulness and gratitude, we can step away from the distractions and emotional turbulence of modern life and embrace the lasting pleasures that Epicurus championed. So, in your daily life, how can you apply this philosophy? Reflect on the moments that bring you true joy and satisfaction. Is it a meaningful conversation with a friend, the serenity of nature, the satisfaction of solving a problem or completing a project? Seek these pleasures, not to excess but with balance, and you'll find that the pursuit of happiness lies in simplicity. Lesson 9. Zeno of Citium. Embrace what you can control. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, was deeply concerned with the idea of control. Stoicism teaches us to distinguish between what is in our control and what is not, and to focus our efforts only on the former. This principle is fundamental to resilience. If we direct our energy toward things we cannot control, external events, other people's actions, we will always feel helpless, anxious, and frustrated. Instead, Zeno emphasized that we should focus on the control of our own thoughts, actions, and responses. By accepting that there are forces beyond our control, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering and frustration. Think about the times when you felt powerless or frustrated. It's often because we focus on things we can't change, like other people's behavior or the outcomes of situations. Zeno would advise us to focus inward. We can control how we respond, how we react emotionally, and how we choose to act in the world. For Zeno, this understanding of control isn't just an intellectual exercise. It's a practical tool for living well. By focusing on what we can control, we can stop wasting our energy on worries that only drain us. It's about living with intentionality and purpose, responding to each moment with clarity, patience, and wisdom. Zeno also emphasized the importance of virtue. It is not external success that defines us, but the inner character we cultivate. When we focus on virtue, on living with integrity, wisdom, and courage, we take control of our lives in a way that brings lasting fulfillment. This lesson from Zeno is crucial in our modern, chaotic world. We can often feel overwhelmed by the constant barrage of external events. However, by returning to the Stoic practice of distinguishing between what we can control and what we cannot, we can live more intentionally and peacefully. Ask yourself today, what are you focusing on that's outside of your control? How can you shift your energy to what you can influence? By embracing Zeno's wisdom, you'll find that resilience grows from your ability to focus on the present moment and the aspects of life where you can make a meaningful impact. Lesson 10. Machiavelli, Strategic Resilience in the Face of Power. Machiavelli's name is synonymous with strategy, and his most famous work, The Prince, is often viewed as a manual for political power. But beyond his reputation for cunning, Machiavelli's teachings offer valuable insights on resilience. He understood that survival and success, especially in a world of power struggles, requires not only strength, but strategic thinking. Machiavelli was not a philosopher who admired blind virtue or idealism. Instead, he recognized that life is unpredictable and harsh. In times of adversity, the ability to adapt, remain flexible, and take calculated risks is what separates the survivors from the fallen. Machiavelli teaches us that resilience doesn't come from passively enduring hardship, but from actively navigating it with strategy and foresight. Adaptability, for Machiavelli, was the hallmark of true strength. When faced with challenges, he encouraged leaders, and by extension all of us, to remain alert, learn from every experience, and adapt swiftly. Strategic resilience means understanding when to confront adversity head-on and when to wait for the right moment to act. It involves having the wisdom to know which battles are worth fighting and which ones will only drain your resources. Much like a seasoned general, you can maintain your inner strength by choosing when to fight and when to hold back. So, in your own life, how can you apply Machiavelli's teachings on resilience? Are there areas where you're blindly pushing through, not realizing that strategic patience might serve you better? Reflect on your goals and consider where you might need to adapt your approach, whether in your career, relationships, or personal pursuits. Like Machiavelli, take the time to study your environment, analyze your opponents, and be ready to pivot when necessary. Life's challenges are not obstacles. They are opportunities to demonstrate your resilience and wisdom. Machiavelli's insights teach us that true strength lies not just in enduring hardships, but in shaping our responses with careful thought, strategy, and determination. Lesson 11. The Stoic View of Emotions, Understanding and Mastering Our Inner World. One of the core tenets of Stoic philosophy is understanding and mastering our emotions. The Stoics were not advocating for a life without emotion, but rather for a life where emotions do not control us. Epicurus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple yet powerful idea lies at the heart of Stoic thought. Emotions are natural, and they serve a purpose in our lives. They alert us to situations that require our attention or action. However, the Stoics teach us that we must not allow our emotions to rule us. We must learn to observe our emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. For instance, when we feel anger or frustration, it's essential to pause and ask ourselves, what is the underlying cause of this emotion? Is it something I can control? The Stoics believed in using reason to guide our emotional responses. Instead of reacting impulsively, we take a moment to reflect on the situation and our reaction. This practice doesn't mean suppressing our emotions, but rather understanding them. By acknowledging our feelings, we gain clarity on how to respond in a way that aligns with our values and goals. Another important Stoic lesson is that we can't control other people's actions, but we can control how we respond to them. If someone insults you or wrongs you, you cannot change their behavior, but you can choose how you react. Do you respond with anger, or do you remain calm, understanding that their actions reflect more about them than about you? The Stoics emphasize that emotional mastery is a skill that requires practice. It's not something that happens overnight, but with mindfulness, reflection, and self-discipline, we can cultivate emotional resilience and control, enabling us to navigate life with greater peace and clarity. The next time you feel an intense emotion, try taking a step back. Reflect on what caused the feeling, whether it's an external event or your thoughts about it. Ask yourself, can I control this situation? If not, release the need to control it and focus instead on how you can respond thoughtfully. This practice of emotional resilience is one of the most powerful tools for achieving lasting peace. As you go through life, remember, it's not the emotions themselves that cause harm, but rather the way we react to them. By learning to master our emotions, we unlock the power of a truly Stoic mindset, one where inner peace and clarity reign over chaos and reaction. Lesson 12. Diogenes: embrace simplicity and reject the pursuit of status. Diogenes of Sinope, a figure of great renown in the Cynic philosophy, was known for his radical rejection of societal norms and his embrace of simplicity. Diogenes lived in a barrel and was famous for his eccentric behavior, such as carrying a lantern during the day in search of an honest man. But his behavior wasn't mere eccentricity. It was a profound statement about the superficiality of social status and material wealth. Diogenes taught that happiness does not come from accumulating wealth, gaining power, or securing social status. Rather, it comes from embracing simplicity and rejecting the false constructs that society places on us. In a world obsessed with success, appearance, and consumption, Diogenes' philosophy is a powerful antidote. He believed that true freedom and happiness come from living in accordance with nature and eliminating unnecessary desires. Diogenes would argue that happiness comes not from owning the latest gadgets, wearing expensive clothes, or gaining social approval, but from living a life rooted in self-sufficiency and honesty. In your own life, consider how much time and energy you spend chasing external validation. Are you constantly striving for material possessions or success? Diogenes would ask, what would happen if you focused more on the simple pleasures of life, quality time with loved ones, intellectual pursuits, and personal growth, rather than seeking the approval of others? This lesson is about recognizing that true freedom lies in letting go of the pursuit of status. When we stop chasing external validation, we stop being slaves to social norms. Instead, we become empowered to live authentically, cultivating a sense of satisfaction and peace from within. Simplicity becomes not just a lifestyle, but a mindset, one where the richness of life is found not in possessions, but in experiences, relationships, and self-discovery. To apply Diogenes' teachings, ask yourself, what do I truly need to live a happy and fulfilling life? What could I let go of? By simplifying your life and eliminating unnecessary desires, you'll find that you have more time, energy, and freedom to focus on what really matters. Diogenes' radical simplicity is a path to true wealth, the wealth of peace, freedom, and self-sufficiency. Lesson 13. Aristotle: the golden mean and the pursuit of balance. Aristotle, one of the greatest philosophers in Western history, taught that the key to living a good life is finding balance, what he called the golden mean. This concept centers on moderation and avoiding extremes. For Aristotle, virtue lies not in excess or deficiency, but in finding the middle ground between two extremes. It is in this balanced state that we find happiness and fulfillment. Aristotle believed that our actions should always be guided by reason, striving for moderation in all things. Whether it's in our pursuit of wealth, pleasure, or power, Aristotle taught us to avoid the extremes of excess and deficiency. Think of the things you desire in life. Are you pursuing them in a balanced way? Or have you fallen into the trap of excess, whether it's working too much, seeking too much pleasure, or trying to control too much of your environment? Aristotle would encourage you to reflect on how you can find moderation and cultivate virtues such as courage, wisdom, and temperance. The golden mean teaches us that balance is the path to happiness. We should strive for excellence in all areas of life, but never at the expense of our well-being or relationships. By practicing moderation and making decisions that align with our deeper values, we can create a life of purpose, fulfillment, and joy. Aristotle's philosophy asks us to be mindful of our choices. Every action we take should be considered carefully, with the goal of finding the right balance between two extremes. This mindset allows us to navigate life with clarity, making decisions that serve our long-term well-being. So, in your daily life, reflect on where you might be living in excess or deficiency. How can you apply Aristotle's golden mean to bring more balance into your decisions? Whether it's your work, your relationships, or your personal goals, remember, the key to a good life is found in moderation. Lesson 40, Socrates, the importance of self-examination. Socrates, the father of Western philosophy, famously declared, "The unexamined life is not worth living." For Socrates, the pursuit of wisdom begins with self-examination, the process of reflecting on our thoughts, beliefs, and actions. By questioning ourselves and our assumptions, we can grow wiser and become more virtuous. Socrates believed that true knowledge comes not from simply memorizing facts, but from a deep personal inquiry into the nature of life, ethics, and the human condition. Through this self-examination, we can cultivate a better understanding of who we are and how we should live. In the modern world, it's easy to get caught up in the noise of external influences, social media, news, and the expectations of others. Socrates teaches us to turn inward, to ask ourselves, what do I believe and why? What do my actions say about my values? This practice of introspection allows us to live with intention, guided by our deepest beliefs and goals. To embrace Socratic self-examination, take time each day to reflect on your thoughts, actions, and decisions. Ask yourself probing questions about why you believe what you do and whether your actions align with your values. Through this process of inquiry, you'll uncover deeper insights into your true nature. Socrates' legacy encourages us to live an authentic life, one that is guided by reason, reflection, and continuous learning. By committing to self-examination, we become better equipped to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and clarity. Lesson 15, Diogenes, the pursuit of self-sufficiency. Diogenes of Sinope, in his rejection of material wealth and status, advocated for a life of self-sufficiency. He lived in a barrel, owned almost nothing, and believed that true happiness came from within, not from external possessions. Diogenes teaches us that freedom and peace come when we detach ourselves from the need for external validation or possessions. In a consumer-driven world, it's easy to become attached to the idea that we need more things, more success, more approval. But Diogenes believed that happiness could only be found by freeing ourselves from these attachments. To apply Diogenes' teachings, think about how you can cultivate self-sufficiency in your own life. What do you truly need to be happy? How much of what you desire is dictated by external influences or societal pressure? The pursuit of self-sufficiency is about finding contentment with what you have and recognizing that everything else is an unnecessary distraction. This lesson challenges us to question the societal expectations that often dictate our desires. True fulfillment doesn't come from accumulating wealth or status. It comes from within. By embracing a simple, self-sufficient lifestyle, you'll discover a sense of peace and freedom that is not dependent on external circumstances. Lesson 16. Living in harmony with nature. The Stoic view of nature's order. Zeno and the Stoics emphasize the importance of living in harmony with nature, not just in the sense of the physical world, but with the natural order of life itself. Everything in life has a purpose, and understanding that we are part of something larger than ourselves brings peace and clarity. For Stoics, nature is rational and orderly, and by aligning ourselves with this order, we can reduce unnecessary suffering. Instead of fighting against the flow of life, we learn to go with it, recognizing that every moment serves a greater purpose. By accepting this flow, we embrace the Stoic practice of living in accordance with nature. Ask yourself, how can I better align myself with nature's rhythms and embrace life's impermanence? Lesson 17. The value of simplicity. Embracing minimalism, the Stoics lived by the principle of simplicity, understanding that true happiness is not found in material possessions or the pursuit of external goods. Zeno, Epicurus, and Marcus Aurelius all taught that by simplifying our lives, we free ourselves from unnecessary desires and attachments. This lesson reminds us that contentment does not come from accumulating things, but from appreciating what we have and finding fulfillment within. By letting go of excess, we can focus on the things that truly matter: our relationships, our personal growth, and our connection with nature. How can you simplify your life today? What can you let go of in order to focus on the things that truly bring you peace and fulfillment? Lesson 18. The role of death, living fully by accepting mortality. The Stoics often reflected on death as a way to live more fully. While many avoid thinking about death, the Stoics believed that contemplating mortality was essential to living a meaningful life. By acknowledging that death is inevitable, we free ourselves from the fear of it and live with a sense of urgency and purpose. Epicurus said that the more we think about death, the more we appreciate life. By accepting that everything is temporary, we can focus on what really matters: our actions, our relationships, and the impact we make in the world. Ask yourself, how would you live differently if you accepted that life is short? What changes can you make today to live a life that aligns with your values and passions? Lesson 19. Perspective, shifting your view on life's challenges. In Stoic philosophy, perspective is everything. The way we perceive a situation determines how we respond to it. This lesson focuses on how changing our perspective can transform obstacles into opportunities. For instance, what may initially seem like a setback could be viewed as a lesson or an opportunity for growth. The Stoics taught that our thoughts shape our experiences. If we view challenges as opportunities to practice virtue, we can approach life's difficulties with more grace and resilience. By adjusting our perceptions, we not only shift our emotional response, but we also regain control over how we interact with the world. When you encounter a challenge, ask yourself, how can I change my perspective to view this situation in a way that promotes growth and peace? Lesson 20. The power of inner peace. Cultivating calm in a chaotic world. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, demonstrated that inner peace is the foundation of a virtuous and fulfilling life. This lesson explores the Stoic idea of cultivating inner peace, no matter the external circumstances. While the world may be full of chaos, the Stoics believed that we have control over our own inner state. By focusing on our thoughts and maintaining emotional balance, we can stay calm even in the most difficult situations. Meditation, mindfulness, and self-reflection are essential practices for nurturing this inner peace. Through them, we learn to disengage from the distractions and stresses of modern life and reconnect with what is truly important. Ask yourself, how can I nurture inner peace today? How can I maintain calm in the face of external turbulence? Embracing the Stoic path, wisdom, resilience, and inner peace. As we conclude this exploration of Stoic wisdom, we are reminded of the profound teachings passed down by great philosophers such as Socrates, Aristotle, Epicurus, Zeno, Diogenes, and even the pragmatic strategies of Machiavelli. Each of these thinkers offered valuable insights into how we can live with greater clarity, resilience, and peace in the face of life's inevitable challenges. Through their lessons, we have learned the importance of accepting what we cannot control, cultivating virtues such as wisdom, courage, and temperance, and embracing life's imperfections with grace. We've explored the power of perspective and how shifting our mindset can transform obstacles into opportunities. The Stoic practice of self-reflection and mindfulness, as well as the emphasis on living in harmony with nature, offers a roadmap to personal growth and fulfillment. In the end, Stoicism teaches us that life is not about avoiding hardship, but about how we respond to it. By focusing on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes, we can lead lives of meaning, free from unnecessary suffering and distraction. The journey of living according to Stoic principles is not always easy, but it is one of the most powerful paths to true freedom, contentment, and inner peace. As you move forward in your own life, remember that the Stoic way is a daily practice. The more you embrace these timeless lessons, the more you'll find yourself becoming resilient, wise, and at peace, no matter what challenges come your way. Thank you for joining me on this philosophical journey. May the wisdom of the Stoics guide you toward a life of tranquility, growth, and lasting fulfillment. Continue to reflect, continue to grow, and most importantly, continue to live in accordance with nature and your own true values.